Some moments change everything. For Elon Musk, that moment came at a traffic light in Austin, Texas, when a stranger handed him a folded piece of paper. He thought it was just another request for money. He was wrong. The note would lead him to discover a secret his mother had kept for 30 years. It would reveal the tragic story of a brilliant engineer who died trying to solve the problems keeping humanity from reaching Mars. And it would change not just his life, but the future of space exploration itself. It all started with a red light that seemed to last forever. The red light on South Congress Avenue seemed to last forever. Elon Musk drummed his fingers on the steering wheel of his black Tesla Model S, watching the seconds tick by on the dashboard clock. 3:47 p.m. He was already 17 minutes late for the SpaceX meeting. "Come on," he muttered, staring at the stubborn red light. Traffic stretched ahead of him like a metal snake. Cars honked behind him. The March sun beat down through his windshield, making him squint. His phone buzzed with another text from Dr. Sarah Chun, his lead engineer. "Heat shield test failed again. Team waiting." Elon's stomach tightened. 3 failed tests in 2 weeks. The Mars mission timeline was slipping away like sand through his fingers. That he thought about the investors who would be calling soon. The board members who questioned every delay. The thousands of SpaceX employees who believed in the dream of reaching Mars. They were all counting on him to fix this problem. The light stayed red. Elon closed his eyes and took a deep breath. In his mind, he could see the red planet Mars spinning in the darkness of space. So close, yet so far away. Every failed test meant more delays. More delays meant losing the window to launch. Losing the window meant waiting 2 more years for the planets to align again. A soft tapping on his passenger window made him open his eyes. A woman stood beside his car. She was older, maybe 50, with graying hair pulled back in a ponytail. Her coat was too big for her thin frame, and her shoes were worn down at the heels. She held a small piece of cardboard, but Elon couldn't read what it said. He had seen homeless people at this intersection before. Usually, they asked for money or food. Elon always felt bad, but he rarely stopped. Today was different. Something about this woman made him pause. She wasn't holding up her sign. Instead, she was looking right at him through the window. Her dark eyes were serious, but not angry. She seemed to be studying his face, as if she knew him. Elon pressed the button to lower his window just a few inches. "I'm sorry, I don't have any cash," he said quickly. The woman shook her head. "I don't want money, Mr. Musk." She knew his name. That wasn't unusual. His face was on magazine covers and news websites. But something in her voice made him look at her more carefully. "I have something for you," she said in a quiet voice. Her English had an accent he couldn't place. She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. It was white but looked old, like it had been folded and unfolded many times. "What is it?" Elon asked, but the woman was already pushing the paper through the small gap in his window. "Please," she said. "It's important." The paper landed on his passenger seat. Elon looked down at it, then back up at the woman. She was already walking away, moving between the stopped cars toward the sidewalk. "Wait," he called out, but she didn't turn around. The light turned green. Cars behind him started honking. Elon had to drive forward, leaving the mysterious woman behind. He glanced in his rearview mirror and saw her sitting on a bench at the bus stop, watching his car disappear into traffic. The folded paper sat on his passenger seat like a small white mystery. Elon reached over and picked it up. It felt thin, like regular notebook paper. Someone had written his name on the outside in careful handwriting. Mr. Elon Musk. He started to unfold it, then stopped. Traffic was heavy, and he needed to focus on driving. The SpaceX meeting was still waiting for him. Dr. Chun and the engineering team were probably wondering where he was. Elon put the paper in his jacket pocket and pressed harder on the gas pedal. His Tesla moved smoothly through the Austin traffic, past the food trucks and coffee shops that lined South Congress. The city looked busy and alive, but his mind was elsewhere. Who was that woman? How did she know his name? And why did her face seem familiar? The more he thought about it, the more certain he became that he had seen her before. But where? And when? 20 minutes later, Elon pulled into the SpaceX parking lot. The building rose in front of him like a steel and glass monument to human ambition. Through the windows, he could see people moving around inside. His team was waiting for him to solve the heat shield problem that had been keeping him awake at night. He grabbed his phone and briefcase, then headed for the entrance. The folded paper in his pocket felt heavier with each step. He could open it right now, read whatever message the woman had written. But something told him to wait. Inside the building, the familiar sounds of innovation filled the air. Engineers talked in small groups about rocket fuel and orbital mechanics. Computer screens showed data from the latest test flights. The smell of coffee and determination hung in the air. Elon, Dr. Chen appeared at his elbow. "We need to talk about the heat shield results." "I know," Elon said, following her toward the conference room. "How bad is it?" "Bad enough that we might need to redesign the whole system." They walked down the hallway lined with pictures of successful rocket launches. Each photo represented years of work and millions of dollars. The newest pictures showed the Starship prototypes that were supposed to carry humans to Mars. But first, they had to solve the heat shield problem. The shields were supposed to protect the spacecraft when it entered Mars' atmosphere. Without them working perfectly, the mission would fail. Astronauts would die. As they reached the conference room, Elon felt the paper in his pocket shift slightly. The woman's serious eyes flashed in his memory. She had looked at him like she knew something important, something he needed to hear. "Mr. Musk?" Dr. Chun was holding the conference room door open. "The team is ready." Elon nodded and walked into the room. But part of his mind stayed with the mysterious woman at the red light, and the folded paper that waited in his pocket like a secret that could change everything. The meeting was about to begin. Mars was still waiting, and somewhere in Austin, a homeless woman sat on a bench, hoping that her message would finally reach the man who could make a difference. But Elon didn't know any of that yet. He only knew that his carefully planned day had taken an unexpected turn at a red light on South Congress Avenue. And sometimes, unexpected turns lead to the most important destinations of all. The SpaceX conference room felt cold despite the warm Austin afternoon. Elon sat at the head of the long table, surrounded by his best engineers. Charts and graphs covered the walls, showing test results that told the same story over and over. Failure, Doctor. Sarah Chun stood at the front of the room, holding a tablet with the latest data. Her usually calm face looked worried. "The heat shield failed again during yesterday's test," she said. "The ceramic tiles couldn't handle the extreme heat." Elon stared at the numbers on the screen. They had been working on this problem for months. Every test brought them closer to understanding what was wrong, but not closer to fixing it. "What's the temperature reading?" asked James Rodriguez, the materials engineer. He was young but brilliant, one of the best minds they had. "Over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, Dr. Chen replied. "That's what we expected for Mars entry. But our tiles cracked after just 30 seconds. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. Without working heat shields, the Starship couldn't safely enter Mars' atmosphere. The astronauts inside would burn up like a meteor. Elon felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on his shoulders. Thousands of people worked for SpaceX. Millions of people around the world believed in the Mars mission. They all trusted him to make it work. "What about the backup design?" he asked. "We tested that last week," said Maria Santos, the lead designer. "Same result. The materials just can't handle the heat and pressure." Elon rubbed his temples. A headache was building behind his eyes. In his jacket pocket, the folded paper from the homeless woman seemed to burn against his chest. He kept thinking about her serious eyes and the way she had looked at him. "Sir," Dr. Chun was looking at him with concern. "Are you okay?" "Fine," Elon said quickly, just thinking. But he wasn't fine. The Mars mission was everything to him. As a child, he had dreamed of humans walking on the red planet. As an adult, he had built SpaceX to make that dream real. Now, a simple heat shield problem was threatening to destroy everything. How long would it take to develop a completely new design? He asked. The engineers looked at each other nervously. Nobody wanted to give him bad news. "At least 6 months, Dr. Chun said finally. "Maybe longer." 6 months. That would push the mission back by at least a year. Maybe 2 years, depending on when the planets aligned for the next launch window. "And how much would it cost?" Elon asked, though he already knew the answer would be painful. "Probably $50 million, said Rodriguez. "Maybe more." $50 million. That was money they didn't have. The company was already stretched thin from other projects. The investors would not be happy about more delays and cost overruns. Elon stood up and walked to the window. Outside, He could see the Texas landscape stretching toward the horizon. Somewhere out there, beyond the Earth's atmosphere, Mars waited patiently for human visitors. "We have to do it," he said without turning around. "Start over with a new design." "Sir," Dr. Chen said carefully, "the board might not approve more funding." "Then we'll find another way," Elon replied. "We'll work longer hours. We'll try new materials. We'll test every idea until something works." He turned back to face his team. These were good people, smart people. They believed in the mission as much as he did. But he could see doubt creeping into their faces. "What if we can't solve it?" asked Santos quietly. The question hung in the air like a dark cloud. What if they couldn't solve it? What if humans were meant to stay on Earth forever? What if his dream of making life multiplanetary was just that? A dream. "We will solve it," Elon said firmly. Failure is not an option. But even as he said the words, he wondered if he really believed them. The heat shield problem was harder than anything they had faced before. Other companies had tried to solve similar problems and failed. "Okay," Dr. Chen said, making notes on her tablet. "I'll start putting together a new research team. We'll need specialists in advanced ceramics and heat-resistant materials. And I'll begin testing some experimental alloys," added Rodriguez. "There might be something we haven't tried yet." The team started discussing technical details, but Elon's mind began to wander. He thought about his mother, May, and how she had always believed in him. Even when he was a strange kid who read too much and talked about rockets, she had supported his dreams. His mother had faced her own challenges when he was young. Money had been tight after his parents divorced. She had worked multiple jobs to keep the family together. But she never gave up, never stopped believing that things would get better. The paper in his pocket seemed to grow heavier. Why couldn't he stop thinking about that woman at the red light? There was something about her that reminded him of his mother. The same determination in her eyes. The same quiet strength. "Elon," Dr. Chen was looking at him again. "Do you want to review the timeline?" "Yes," he said, forcing himself to focus. "Show me the schedule." For the next hour, they went through every detail of the new heat shield project. They talked about deadlines and budgets and technical specifications. But underneath all the planning, everyone could feel the pressure. The Mars mission was supposed to launch in 2 years. Every day of delay made that deadline seem more impossible. And if they missed this launch window, they would have to wait another 2 years for the planets to align again. As the meeting ended, the engineers filed out of the room, talking quietly among themselves. Elon remained at the table, staring at the charts on the wall. Numbers and graphs that represented years of work and billions of dollars. Dr. Chen lingered by the door. "We'll figure this out," she said. "We always do." "I know," Elon replied. But his voice lacked conviction. When he was finally alone, Elon reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out the folded paper. He held it in his hands, feeling its weight. Such a small thing, but it had been bothering him all afternoon that he started to unfold it, then stopped. What if it was just another request for money? Or another business proposal from someone who thought they had all the answers? But what if it was something else? What if the mysterious woman really did have something important to tell him? The clock on the wall ticked loudly in the quiet room. Outside, the sun was beginning to set, painting the sky orange and pink. Another day was ending, and they were still no closer to solving the heat shield problem. Elon put the paper back in his pocket without opening it. He had more important things to worry about than a note from a stranger. The Mars mission was depending on him. The future of human civilization might depend on him. But as he gathered his papers and headed for the door, he couldn't shake the feeling that the woman at the red light knew something he needed to hear. Something that might change everything. Elon's Austin home was quiet at midnight. Too quiet. He walked through the empty rooms, his bare feet silent on the polished concrete floors. The house was modern and minimal, with large windows that looked out onto the dark Texas landscape that he couldn't sleep. His mind kept spinning with thoughts of failed heat shields and missed deadlines. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the Mars mission slipping away like smoke. In the kitchen, he made coffee even though he knew it would keep him awake longer. The hot liquid burned his throat, but it felt good. At least it was something he could feel besides the crushing weight of responsibility. Through the window, he could see the lights of Austin twinkling in the distance. Millions of people were sleeping peacefully, trusting that tomorrow would be better than today. They didn't know that their dreams of reaching Mars were hanging by a thread Elon thought about his childhood in South Africa. His mother, May, had worked so hard to keep their family together after his father left. She had been a model and a nutritionist, but money was always tight. Some nights, she would sit at the kitchen table paying bills, worry lines creasing her forehead. "We'll figure it out," she would tell him when he asked if they had enough money for groceries. "We always do." His mother's strength had shaped him into the man he was today. She had taught him that giving up was not an option. But what would she say about the heat shield problem? What would she tell him to do when the smartest engineers in the world couldn't find a solution? The folded paper sat on his kitchen counter where he had left it. He had brought it home from the office, still unopened. It seemed to glow in the dim light, like it was calling to him. "This is ridiculous," he muttered to himself. "It's just a piece of paper." But he couldn't ignore it. Something about that woman at the red light had bothered him all day. The way she had looked at him, the way she had said his name, like she knew him from somewhere. At 2 a.m., Elon gave up trying to sleep. He walked to his home office, a small room filled with books about rockets and space exploration. The walls were covered with pictures of Mars and concept drawings of future spacecraft. He sat at his desk and stared at the folded paper. His hands shook slightly as he picked it up. What if it contained bad news? What if it was from someone who wanted to hurt him or his company? But what if it was something else? What if the woman really did have something important to tell him? Elon took a deep breath and slowly unfolded the paper. The handwriting was careful and neat, like someone had taken time to write each word clearly. "Mr. Musk," he read aloud, "you probably don't remember me, but I worked in your mother's office in Pretoria in 1995. Your mother saved my life once. I have something important to tell you about that day. Meet me at the Austin Community Gardens on Barton Springs Road tomorrow at 3 p.m. if you want to know the truth about what really happened." Rosa Martinez. Elon's heart stopped. Rosa Martinez. The name hit him like a bolt of lightning. He did remember her now. A young woman who had worked as a cleaner in his mother's nutrition practice office. She had been quiet and hardworking, always polite when she saw him. But what did she mean about his mother saving her life? And what truth could she possibly know about something that happened almost 30 years ago? Elon read the note again, his mind racing. In 1995, he had been in college, focused on his studies and his dreams of starting a technology company. He remembered that his mother's practice had been struggling financially. There had been problems with investors and business partners, but he had never heard anything about his mother saving someone's life. May had always been kind to her employees, but she had never mentioned anything dramatic or life-changing. The note was dated yesterday. Rosa Martinez had written it the same day she handed it to him at the red light. She had been planning this meeting. But why wait so long? Why come to him now, after all these years? Elon stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the first hints of dawn were appearing on the horizon. The sky was turning from black to deep purple. Another day was beginning, and he still had no answers. He thought about Rosa Martinez living on the streets of Austin. How had she ended up homeless? What had happened to her in the years since she worked for his mother? The questions piled up in his mind like a mountain he couldn't climb. His phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Dr. Chun. "Can't sleep either. Found some research papers about new ceramic materials. Want to review them in the morning." Elon smiled sadly. His team was working as hard as he was, losing sleep over the same problems. They all wanted to solve the heat shield issue. They all wanted to see humans walk on Mars. But maybe the answer wasn't in research papers or laboratory tests. Maybe it was sitting in the Austin Community Gardens, waiting for him to have the courage to face it. He looked at the note one more time. Rosa Martinez, his mother's office. 1995, a life saved. The truth about what really happened, the words seemed to dance on the page, promising answers to questions he didn't even know he should ask. But they also promised something else, a connection to his past that he had forgotten. A reminder that his mother's kindness had touched more lives than he realized. Elon folded the note carefully and put it in his wallet. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., he would go to the Austin Community Gardens. He would meet Rosa Martinez and learn the truth about what happened in 1995. But tonight, he would try to sleep. And maybe, just maybe, he would dream about solutions instead of problems. About hope instead of failure. About the day when humans would finally set foot on Mars, carrying with them the dreams of everyone who had ever looked up at the stars and wondered what was possible. The note had changed everything. He just didn't know how much yet. Elon woke up at 7 a.m. feeling like he had been hit by a truck. The few hours of sleep he managed were filled with strange dreams about his mother and a burning building. He couldn't shake the images from his mind. After a quick shower, he tried to focus on work, but every meeting felt pointless. Every email seemed unimportant. All he could think about was Rosa Martinez and her mysterious note at 10 a.m. He was supposed to review budget reports with his finance team. Instead, he found himself driving through Austin, looking for a homeless woman he barely remembered. His first stop was the red light where they had met. South Congress Avenue was busy with morning traffic, but Rosa was nowhere to be seen. A few other homeless people stood at different corners, holding signs and asking for help. But none of them was Rosa. Elon parked his car and walked up to a man holding a cardboard sign that read, "Hungry, please help." The man looked surprised when he recognized Elon's face. "Excuse me," Elon said, feeling awkward. "I'm looking for a woman named Rosa Martinez. She's about 50, gray hair. Have you seen her?" The man scratched his beard thoughtfully. "Rosa? Yeah, I know Rosa. She doesn't usually come to this corner, though. Try the Arch downtown. That's where a lot of folks go for meals." Elon thanked him and got back in his car. The Arch was the Austin Resource Center for the homeless. He had driven past it many times but never stopped. Today was different. The building was bigger than he expected, with people coming and going through the front doors. Some looked tired and worn down by life. Others seemed hopeful, like they were working to rebuild their lives. Inside, the lobby was clean but busy. Volunteers in blue t-shirts helped people sign up for services. The smell of food drifted from a nearby dining area. Elon approached the front desk where a young volunteer named Marcus was organizing paperwork. Marcus looked up and did a double take. When he saw who was standing there, "Mr. Musk? Is everything okay?" "I'm looking for someone," Elon said. "A woman named Rosa Martinez. She's about 50, with gray hair. Do you know her?" Marcus nodded slowly. "Rosa comes by for meals sometimes, but she doesn't stay overnight. She's proud, you know. Been on the streets for about 3 years now." 3 years. Elon felt a stab of sadness. What happened to her? Lost her job when the pandemic hit. Marcus explained. She used to work as a medical translator. Speaks 5 languages, actually. Really smart lady. But when the hospitals cut back on services, she couldn't find work. Elon was surprised. A medical translator who spoke 5 languages shouldn't be homeless. There had to be jobs for someone with those skills. She applied everywhere. Marcus continued, as if reading his thoughts. But a lot of places wanted someone younger. And once you've been homeless for a while, it gets harder to find work. No address, no place to shower regularly, no clean clothes. For interviews, the unfairness of it hit Elon hard. Rosa was educated and skilled, but the system had failed her. One bad break had led to another, until she ended up living on the streets. "Where does she sleep?" Elon asked. "Zilker Park, usually. Under the trees near the creek. But she moves around a lot. The police don't like people camping in the same spot too long." Marcus leaned forward and lowered his voice. "Can I ask why you're looking for her?" "Rosa doesn't cause trouble. She keeps to herself mostly. She knew my mother," Elon said carefully. "A long time ago. I wanted to talk to her about it." "That makes sense," Marcus said with a smile. "Rosa talks about working in South Africa sometimes. People here thought she was making it up, you know? But she knows details about Pretoria and Johannesburg that you couldn't just learn from books." South Africa. Rosa had really worked for his mother. The note was telling the truth. "If you see her," Elon said, "could you tell her that Elon Musk is looking for her? I'll be at the Austin Community Gardens at 3 p.m. today." "Sure thing," Marcus replied. "But Mr. Musk? Rosa's been through a lot. She's tougher than she looks, but be gentle with her, okay?" Elon nodded and left the Arch feeling troubled. As he drove through Austin, he thought about how easy it was for people to fall through the cracks. One job loss, one medical emergency, one bad decision, and everything could change. That he stopped at Zilker Park and walked along the creek. A few homeless camps were scattered under the trees, but he didn't see Rosa. The people he met were polite but cautious. They didn't know why a billionaire was walking through their temporary homes. A small camp near the water, an older man was reading a worn paperback book. When Elon asked about Rosa, the man's face lit up. "Rosa's good people," he said. "Helps Folks translate when they need to talk to doctors or social workers. She's got a big heart. Do you know where I can find her? The man shrugged. She comes and goes. But if she said she'd meet you somewhere, she'll be there. Rosa keeps her promises. As the afternoon wore on, Elon realized he was learning more about Rosa Martinez than he had ever known about the woman who worked for his mother. She wasn't just a cleaner who had fallen on hard times. She was a skilled professional who had helped people even when she had nothing herself. At 2:30 p.m., Elon drove to the Austin Community Gardens on Barton Springs Road. The place was peaceful, with families working in small vegetable plots. Children ran between the rows of plants while their parents weeded and watered. He found a bench near the entrance and sat down to wait. His phone buzzed with work emails, but he ignored them. For the first time in months, SpaceX and the Mars mission seemed less important than what was about to happen. A few minutes before 3 p.m., he saw her walking slowly up the path. Rosa Martinez looked cleaner than she had at the red light. Her hair was combed back neatly, and her clothes, while old, were freshly washed. She saw him on the bench and paused. For a moment, Elon thought she might turn around and leave. But then she straightened her shoulders and walked toward him. "Thank you for coming," she said as she sat down beside him. "I wasn't sure you would." "Your note said my mother saved your life," Elon replied. "I need to know what that means." Rosa nodded and looked out at the garden where a mother was teaching her young daughter how to plant tomato seeds. The sight seemed to give her strength. "It's a long story," she said quietly, "and it's not an easy one to tell." Elon waited. Whatever Rosa Martinez had to say, he was ready to listen. The heat shield problems and Mars mission deadlines could wait. This was about his mother and the mysterious connection between his past and his present. The truth was finally within reach. Rosa Martinez sat quietly on the bench beside Elon, watching a mother teach her little daughter how to plant tomato seeds. The child's hands were covered in dirt, and she was giggling as she pressed the seeds into the soil. "That reminds me of my Elena," Rosa said softly. "She loved to plant things when she was small." "Elena?" Elon asked. "My daughter." Rosa's voice was filled with both love and sadness. She would be 30 now if... She stopped and took a deep breath. "But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning." Rosa folded her hands in her lap and began to speak in her careful, accented English. "I was 22 when I started working for your mother in Pretoria. It was 1995. I had just moved to the city from a small farm town." Elon remembered 1995. He had been in college then, studying physics and economics. His mother's nutrition practice was just getting started. Money was tight for everyone in the family. "I was studying to become a medical translator," Rosa continued. "But I needed work to pay for my classes. Your mother hired me to clean her office in the evenings. She was very kind to me. She always treated her employees well," Elon said. "More than well. When I told her I had a baby daughter and couldn't afford childcare, she said I could bring Elena to work with me sometimes. Most bosses would never allow that." Rosa's eyes grew distant as she remembered. Elena was 3 years old then. Such a bright little girl. She would sit quietly in the corner while I cleaned, playing with her toys or drawing pictures. The mother and daughter in the garden had moved to a different patch of soil. The little girl was still laughing, her joy filling the peaceful afternoon air. "Your mother would talk to Elena," Rosa said with a smile. "She would ask about her drawings and tell her stories about faraway places. Elena loved those stories. My mother always liked children," Elon said. He remembered how patient she had been with him and his siblings when they were young. That Rosa's expression grew serious. But there was one day when everything changed. It was a Thursday afternoon in March. I remember because it was Elena's birthday the next day. She paused, as if gathering strength for what came next. I had to leave Elena with my neighbor, Mrs. Santos, that day. Elena had a small fever, and I didn't want to bring her to the office. Mrs. Santos lived in the same apartment building as us. She had 3 children of her own, but she didn't mind watching Elena for a few hours. Elon waited patiently as Rosa collected her thoughts. "I was at your mother's office, cleaning the examination rooms, when I heard sirens. Lots of sirens. They seemed to be getting closer and closer. Then the phone rang. Rosa's hands began to shake slightly. It was Mrs. Santos. She was screaming. "Fire," she kept saying. "Fire in the building." Then the line went dead. Elon felt his stomach tighten. He could guess where this story was going. I dropped everything and ran outside. Your mother was just getting into her car to leave for a meeting. I was crying, telling her about the fire, about Elena being in the building. Rosa wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Your mother didn't hesitate. She told me to get in the car. We drove as fast as we could to my neighborhood. And there was a fire. Elon asked quietly. The whole building was burning. Thick black smoke was pouring from the windows. The fire department was there, but the flames were too strong. People were standing on the sidewalk, crying and watching their homes burn. Rosa pointed to the mother and daughter in the garden. Mrs. Santos was there with her 3 children. They had escaped. But when I asked about Elena, Mrs. Santos started crying. She said Elena had been hiding under the bed when the fire started. She was too scared to come out. Mrs. Santos couldn't go back for her because of her own children. Elon's heart was pounding. What did my mother do? Everyone was standing around, waiting for the firefighters to control the blaze. But your mother looked at that burning building and said, "Where is Elena's apartment?" When I told her it was on the 2nd floor, she didn't say another word. She just ran toward the building. She went into the fire. Elon couldn't believe what he was hearing. The firefighters tried to stop her, but she was too fast. She disappeared into the smoke. People were yelling at her to come back, saying she was crazy. But your mother didn't listen. Rosa was crying now, but she continued speaking. It felt like hours, but it was probably only a few minutes. Then I saw her coming out of the building, carrying Elena in her arms. Both of them were covered in soot and coughing from the smoke, but they were alive. Elon stared at Rosa in amazement. His mother had never told him this story. She had never mentioned running into a burning building to save a child. Elena was unconscious from the smoke, but she was breathing. The paramedics took her to the hospital. Your mother rode in the ambulance with us. She stayed there all night, making sure Elena was okay. Did Elena recover? Elon asked. Completely. The doctors said she would have died if your mother had waited. Even 5 more minutes. The smoke was getting thicker, and the floor was starting to collapse. Rosa looked directly at Elon. Your mother saved my daughter's life. She risked everything for a little girl she barely knew. Elon felt overwhelmed. This was exactly the kind of thing his mother would do, but she had never told him about it. Why had she kept it secret? After that day, your mother helped us find a new apartment. She even helped pay for Elena's medical bills. But she made me promise never to tell anyone what she had done. What? Elon asked. She said some people do the right thing because it's right, not because they want credit for it. She said if word got out, people would call her a hero, and she didn't want that attention. Elon thought about his mother's character. She had always been modest about her accomplishments. Even now, she rarely talked about her successful modeling career or her work as a nutritionist. She focused on helping others, not on getting recognition. There's something else, Rosa said quietly. Something I've never told anyone. What? Rosa looked down at her hands. The day of the fire, your mother was supposed to be at an important meeting. A meeting with investors who wanted to help expand her nutrition practice. It could have changed everything for your family. Elon felt a chill run down his spine. She missed the meeting? She missed the meeting to save Elena. And because she missed it, the investors thought she wasn't serious about her business. They pulled out. Your mother lost everything. Her chance to expand, her savings, her dreams of building something bigger. The pieces were starting to fall into place. Elon remembered 1995 as a difficult year for his family. His mother had struggled. Financially, they had to move to a smaller apartment. She had worked multiple jobs to make ends meet. She never told you, did she? Rosa asked. No, Elon whispered. She never said anything about any of this. That's the kind of person your mother is. She sacrificed her own future to save my daughter's life. And she never wanted anyone to know. Elon sat in stunned silence. His mother had given up her dreams to save a stranger's child. And she had carried that secret for almost 30 years. But Rosa wasn't finished. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small, worn photograph. This is Elena, she said, handing him the picture. My daughter, the little girl your mother saved. Elon looked at the photograph and saw a young girl with bright, intelligent eyes and a huge smile. She looked happy and full of life. She's beautiful, he said. She was brilliant too, Rosa said with pride. She became an engineer just like you. She wanted to help people reach for the stars. Elon looked up sharply. Became? What happened to her? Rosa's face crumpled with grief. That's the rest of the story. The part that brought me to you. Elon watched Rosa struggle with her emotions. Tears ran down her cheeks as she held Elena's photograph. The happy little girl in the picture seemed to smile up at them from another time, another world. "Take your time," Elon said gently. He could see that whatever Rosa was about to tell him was painful. Rosa wiped her eyes and took a shaky breath. "Elena grew up to be everything I dreamed she could be. Smart, kind, determined. She studied engineering at the University of Texas here in Austin." "What kind of engineering?" Elon asked. "Materials science." She was fascinated by heat-resistant materials and spacecraft design. She used to tell me that she wanted to help humans reach Mars someday. Elon felt a strange chill. Elena had been interested in the same problems that were keeping him awake at night. She got her PhD when she was 26. Rosa continued with pride. Her research was about ceramic materials that could withstand extreme temperatures. She was brilliant at it. Did she find work after graduation? Oh yes. NASA hired her right away. She worked on heat shield designs for 5 years. She loved that job. She felt like she was making a difference. Rosa paused and looked out at the garden where families were tending their plants. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the peaceful scene. But Elena had bigger dreams. She wanted to work on the Mars mission. She had ideas about new types of heat shields that could make space travel safer. Elon's heart began to race. What happened to those ideas? 3 years ago, she applied to work at SpaceX. She was so excited. She had been following your company's progress for years. She believed in your vision of making humans a multi-planetary species. The timing hit Elon like a punch to the stomach. 3 years ago was when SpaceX first started having serious problems with their heat shield designs. She spent weeks preparing her application, Rosa said. She put together a whole presentation about her research. She had designs for new ceramic materials that could handle the extreme heat of Mars entry. What happened to her application? Elon asked. Though he was starting to fear the answer, Rosa's voice became bitter. It was rejected, not by a person, but by some computer system. She never even got to talk to anyone. Just an automated email saying, "Thank you for your interest, but we have decided to pursue other candidates." Elon felt sick. How many brilliant applications had been lost in their automated screening system? How many potential solutions had they missed? Elena was heartbroken. Rosa continued. She had dreamed of working for SpaceX since she was a teenager. She tried calling the company, but no one would talk to her. She even came to the SpaceX office in person, but security wouldn't let her in. "I'm so sorry," Elon said. "Our hiring system isn't perfect. Sometimes good people fall through the cracks." Elena didn't give up, though. She moved to California to work for a smaller aerospace company. She thought maybe she could develop her ideas there and sell them to SpaceX later. Rosa's hands were shaking as she continued. But the small company had money problems. They couldn't afford to pay their employees. Elena lost her job after 6 months. Did she find other work? She tried. But once you've been unemployed for a while, it gets harder. Companies want to hire people who already have jobs. Elena applied everywhere, but no one would give her a chance. Elon thought about how difficult the job market could be, especially in specialized fields like aerospace engineering. One setback could lead to another, creating a downward spiral. She lost her apartment because she couldn't pay rent. She had to sell her car to buy food. Elena was too proud to ask me for help. She knew I was struggling too. Rosa's voice broke completely. My brilliant daughter, who could have helped send humans to Mars, was living in her car in a parking lot. In Los Angeles, the tragedy of it hit Elon hard. A talented engineer with solutions to SpaceX's problems had been homeless while he and his team struggled to find answers. "Where is Elena now?" he asked quietly. Rosa looked down at the photograph in her hands. She died 2 years ago, a car accident on the freeway. The police said she fell asleep while driving. She had been working 3 part-time jobs, trying to get back on her feet. Elon felt like he had been punched in the chest. Elena Martinez, the little girl his mother had saved from a fire, had died alone and forgotten while trying to help solve the problems that plagued his Mars mission. "I'm so sorry for your loss," he said. "Elena sounds like an amazing person." "She was," Rosa whispered. But that's not the end of the story. Rosa reached into her bag and pulled out a thick manila folder. Elena never stopped working on her ideas. Even when she was homeless, even when she had no money, she kept developing new heat shield designs. She handed the folder to Elon. She left me all her research. Years of work on ceramic materials and heat-resistant coatings. She had solved problems that your engineers are still struggling with. Elon opened the folder with trembling hands. Inside were dozens of detailed engineering drawings, mathematical calculations, and test results. Even at first glance, he could see that the work was sophisticated and thorough. "This looks incredible," he said, flipping through the pages. "Why are you giving this to me?" Because Elena would have wanted her work to help get humans to Mars. That was her dream. She didn't care about getting rich or famous. She just wanted to be part of something bigger than herself. Rosa stood up slowly from the bench. "Your mother saved my daughter's life." Elena spent her whole life trying to repay that debt by helping others reach for the stars. Now maybe her work can finally make a difference. "But this research could be worth millions," Elon protested. "You could sell it to any aerospace company." Rosa shook her head. "Some things you do because they're right, not because you expect anything back. Your mother taught me that." She started to walk away, then turned back one more time. "There's one last thing. Elena wrote you a letter before she died. She never sent it, but she asked me to give it to you if I ever got the chance." Rosa pulled a sealed envelope from her coat pocket. Elon's name was written on it in the same careful handwriting as the original note. "She wrote this 2 days before the accident," Rosa said softly. "I think she knew somehow that her time was running out." With that, Rosa Martinez walked away, leaving Elon alone on the bench with Elena's research folder and her final letter. The sun was setting over Austin, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Elon looked down at the envelope in his hands. Elena Martinez, the brilliant engineer who could have changed everything, had written him a letter from beyond the grave. He was almost afraid to open it. Elon sat alone on the bench as darkness began to fall over Austin. The community garden was emptying as families packed up their tools and headed home. Soon he would be the only person left among the rows of vegetables and flowers. The envelope felt heavy in his hands. Elena Martinez had written this letter just 2 days before she died. What could she have wanted to tell him? What final message had she left for the man whose company had rejected her? He looked at the research folder beside him on the bench. Even in the dim light, he could see that Elena's work was extraordinary. The engineering drawings were precise and detailed. The mathematical calculations filled page after page. This wasn't the work of someone desperate and homeless. This was the work of a genius. How had his company missed this? How had their automated system rejected someone so talented? Elon took a deep breath and carefully opened Elena's letter. The handwriting was neat but showed signs of stress and exhaustion. He could imagine Elena writing this in her car, using a clipboard or the dashboard as a desk. The letter began, "Dear Mr. Musk, my name is Elena Martinez. You don't know me, but your mother saved my life when I was 3 years old. My mother worked in her office in Pretoria, and when our building caught fire, your mother risked her life to save mine. I grew up hearing this story. It shaped who I became. I studied engineering because I wanted to help people the way your mother helped me. I dreamed of working for SpaceX because I believe in your vision of making humans a multiplanetary species." Elon paused in his reading. Elena had carried the story of his mother's heroism her whole life. It had inspired her career choice and her dreams. The letter continued, "I know you're having problems with heat shields for Starship. I've been following the news about your test flights. I've been working on a solution for 3 years. I believe I've found the answer. The key is in the ceramic matrix. Instead of using traditional materials, I developed a new composite that can withstand temperatures over 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The secret is in how the ceramic fibers are woven together. They create a structure that gets stronger under extreme heat instead of weaker." Elon's eyes widened. This was exactly the breakthrough his team needed. Elena had been working on their exact problem while living in her car. "I tried to contact SpaceX many times. I submitted my application 3 years ago, but it was rejected by an automated system. I called and emailed, but no one would listen. I even went to your offices in person, but security wouldn't let me in. I'm not writing this letter because I'm angry. I understand that big companies get thousands of applications. Some people fall through the cracks. That's just how the world works." Elena's words showed no bitterness, only acceptance. Even after being rejected and ignored, she didn't blame SpaceX or Elon personally. "I'm writing this because I believe my work could help save the Mars mission. I've run computer simulations and built small-scale prototypes. The ceramic composite I developed could solve your re-entry problems. It's lightweight, durable, and can be manufactured using existing technology. The research is with my mother, Rosa Martinez. If something happens to me, please find her. She knows how important this work was to me. Elon felt a chill. Elena had somehow known that her time was running out. She had been preparing for her death while still trying to help others reach the stars. I'm not asking for money or recognition. I'm not trying to get rich from this research. I just want to see humans walk on Mars. When they do, I hope they remember that their journey was made possible by people who believed in something bigger than themselves. Your mother is one of those people. She saved my life not because she expected a reward, but because it was the right thing to do. That act of kindness gave me 30 years to contribute something meaningful to the world. Tears began to form in Elon's eyes. Elena had lived her entire adult life trying to repay a debt to his mother, a debt that his mother never even knew existed. I know this letter might never reach you. I know you're busy with important work, but I had to try one more time to help. The Mars mission is bigger than any one person. It's about the future of humanity. If my research can help make that future possible, then my life will have had meaning that I hope someday astronauts will stand on the surface of Mars and look up at Earth. When they do, I hope they understand that they got there because thousands of people contributed something, no matter how small. Scientists and engineers, welders and accountants, dreamers and believers. Your mother taught me that we help others because it's right, not because we expect rewards. She saved a frightened little girl from a burning building and asked for nothing in return. Now I'm trying to help save the Mars mission and asking for nothing in return. The circle continues. If you're reading this letter, it means something has happened to me. Please don't feel sad. I lived a good life, even if it didn't end the way I hoped. I got to work on problems that mattered. I got to contribute to humanity's greatest adventure, take care of my mother. She's stronger than she looks, but she'll need support. And please, use my research if it can help. Don't let my work die with me. The stars are waiting for us, Mr. Musk. Don't let them wait too long. With respect and hope. Elena Martinez, October 15th, 2022. Elon finished reading and sat in stunned silence. The letter was dated just 2 days before Elena died in the car accident. She had been living in her car, working multiple jobs, struggling to survive. But she had still found time to write this letter. She had still cared more about the Mars mission than her own problems. Around him, the community garden was now completely dark except for a few streetlights. The families had all gone home to their warm houses and comfortable beds. Elon was alone with Elena's words and the weight of what they meant. He looked at the research folder again. Inside were solutions to problems that had been plaguing SpaceX for years. Elena had worked on these designs while homeless, using whatever resources she could find. She had solved equations in parking lots and coffee shops. She had run simulations on old laptops in public libraries. And she had done it all without expecting anything in return. Elon pulled out his phone and called Dr. Sarah Chun, his lead engineer. Sarah, I need you to come to the office tomorrow morning. Bring the whole heat shield team. Is everything okay? Dr. Chun asked. You sound different. I think I found our answer, Elon said, looking down at Elena's research. I think I found our way to Mars. That's wonderful. Where did you find it? Elon looked out at the dark garden, thinking about Rosa Martinez walking the streets of Austin, thinking about Elena Martinez dying alone in Los Angeles, thinking about his mother running into a burning building to save a stranger's child. It's a long story, he said. I'll explain everything tomorrow. As he hung up the phone, Elon made a silent promise to Elena Martinez. Her work would not be forgotten. Her sacrifice would not be in vain. And when humans finally walked on Mars, they would carry her dreams with them to the red planet. The circle would continue. The next morning, Elon arrived at SpaceX headquarters before sunrise. He carried Elena's research folder like it contained the most precious secrets in the world. In many ways, it did. The conference room filled quickly as his engineering team gathered around the table. Dr. Sarah Chun looked curious but concerned. She had worked with Elon long enough to know when something important was happening. Thank you all for coming in early, Elon began. I want everyone to look at something. He opened Elena's folder and spread her engineering drawings across the conference table. The detailed plans covered every inch of the polished surface. Mathematical equations filled the margins. Test results were carefully organized and neat. Handwriting. Dr. Chen picked up one of the drawings and studied it closely. Her eyes grew wide as she understood what she was seeing. "This is incredible," she whispered. "The ceramic composite design could solve our re-entry problems completely. The math is perfect. The materials are available. How did we not see this before?" James Rodriguez, the materials engineer, was examining another set of plans. "These temperature resistance calculations are beyond anything we've achieved. This ceramic matrix could handle heat levels we thought were impossible." "Where did this come from?" asked Maria Santos, looking up from a page of test results. "Who designed this?" Elon took a deep breath. "An engineer named Elena Martinez. She applied to work here 3 years ago." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. They had been struggling with heat shield problems for 3 years. Someone had already solved those problems and tried to join their team. "What happened to her application?" Dr. Chen asked quietly. "It was rejected by our automated screening system," Elon said. "She never got to speak with a human being, never got a chance to show her work." The weight of this revelation settled over the team like a heavy blanket. Their automated system, designed to save time and handle thousands of applications, had rejected the one person who could have saved them years of struggle. "Can we contact her now?" Rodriguez asked. "We need to hire her immediately. This work is revolutionary." Elon's expression grew sad. Elena Martinez died 2 years ago. She was living in her car in Los Angeles, working part-time jobs, trying to find work in aerospace. The conference room became completely silent. Everyone was processing the tragic irony. A brilliant engineer who could have changed everything had died homeless and forgotten while they struggled to solve the problems she had already figured out. "How did you get her research?" Dr. Chen asked. "From her mother," Elon replied. "Elena left all her work to her mother when she died. Yesterday, her mother gave it to me." He didn't mention the connection to his own mother. That part of the story felt too personal to share with his team. Some truths were meant to be kept close to the heart. Dr. Chen was still studying Elena's drawings. "This isn't just good work. This is genius-level engineering. The way she solved the thermal stress problems. I've never seen anything like it. She figured out how to make ceramic fibers that actually get stronger under extreme heat," Santos added with amazement. "That should be impossible, but her calculations prove it works." Rodriguez was looking at the test data. She built prototypes, small-scale models that she tested herself. Everything checks out. This isn't just theory. She proved her designs work in real conditions. Elon felt a mixture of excitement and sadness. Elena's work was even more brilliant than he had realized. She had been a once-in-a-generation talent, and the world had lost her before she could make her full contribution. "We're going to use her design," he announced. "And we're going to make sure Elena Martinez gets full credit. Her name will be on every heat shield that carries humans to Mars." "That's the right thing to do," Dr. Chen agreed. "But sir, there's something else we need to consider." "What's that?" "If Elena's work is this advanced, we might be able to accelerate our timeline. Instead of 6 months to develop new heat shields, we might be able to do it in 6 weeks. The room buzzed with excitement. Faster development meant an earlier launch. An earlier launch meant they might not miss their current window to Mars. "How confident are you?" Elon asked. "Very confident," Rodriguez replied. "Elena's designs are so detailed, we're basically following a blueprint. She even specified which manufacturing processes to use." Santos nodded in agreement. "She thought of everything: material sourcing, production timelines, quality control procedures. It's like she designed this system specifically for SpaceX." "Maybe she did," Elon said quietly. He remembered Elena's letter, how she had followed SpaceX's progress for years. She had probably designed her heat shields to fit perfectly with their existing systems. Dr. Chen was already making notes on her tablet. "I'll start coordinating with the manufacturing team today. If we push hard, we could have prototypes ready for testing within 2 weeks. And full-scale production within a month," Rodriguez added. "Elena's designs are so practical, they should be easy to manufacture." The energy in the room was electric. For the first time in months, the Mars mission felt possible again. Elena Martinez, working alone in parking lots and libraries, had given them the key to reaching the red planet. "There's one more thing," Elon said. Elena's mother is homeless here in Austin. She gave us this research because she believed it was the right thing to do. She asked for nothing in return. What can we do for her? Dr. Chen asked. I'm going to make sure she has a place to live, a job if she wants one, and I'm going to establish a scholarship in Elena's name for engineering students who are struggling financially. Santos smiled. Elena would have liked that. She understood what it meant to have dreams, but no resources to pursue them. She also understood what it meant to help others, Elon added. That's why she gave us her work for free. She wanted humans to reach Mars more than she wanted recognition or money. The team spent the rest of the morning going through Elena's research in detail. Every page revealed new insights. Every calculation showed her deep understanding of the problems they faced up EY. Lunchtime, they had a complete plan for implementing Elena's designs. The heat shield problem that had seemed impossible just one day ago now had a clear solution. As the team dispersed to begin their work, Dr. Chen approached Elon privately. This is going to change everything, she said. Not just for SpaceX, but for the entire space industry. Elena's ceramic matrix technology could revolutionize spacecraft design. I know, Elon replied. She was special. The world lost someone truly remarkable. But her work will live on, Dr. Chen said. When the first humans step onto Mars, they'll be protected by heat shields that Elena Martinez designed. That's not a bad legacy. Elon looked out the window at the Texas sky. Somewhere beyond that blue dome, Mars waited patiently for human visitors. Thanks to Elena Martinez, that wait might soon be over. He thought about Rosa Martinez, probably looking for work or a warm place to sleep. Tonight, he would find her and tell her that her daughter's dreams were about to come true. Elena had spent her life trying to repay a debt to his mother. Now it was his turn to repay a debt to Elena. The circle of kindness that began in a burning building in Pretoria would continue on the surface of Mars. Some debts could only be repaid by paying them forward. That evening, Elon drove through Austin looking for Rosa Martinez. He found her at the Arch downtown, helping translate for a Spanish-speaking family who needed medical assistance. Even while homeless herself, she was still helping others. When she saw him approaching, Rosa's eyes filled with worry. Mr. Musk? Is everything okay? Everything is more than okay, Elon said with a smile. Can we talk privately? They walked to a quiet corner of the lobby. Rosa sat down carefully, as if she was afraid of what he might tell her. I gave your daughter's research to my engineering team this morning, Elon began. They're calling it revolutionary. Elena's work is going to save the Mars mission. Rosa's hands flew to her mouth. Tears began streaming down her face. Really? Elena's designs will actually be used. Not just used, Elon said. They're going to accelerate our timeline by months. Thanks to Elena, we might reach Mars 2 years earlier than planned. She would be so happy, Rosa whispered. She dreamed about this her whole life. Elon reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. There's something else. Elena wrote me a letter before she died. I read it last night, and I think you should hear what she said. Rosa nodded, wiping her eyes with a tissue someone had given her. Elon opened the letter and began to read aloud. Dear Mr. Musk, my name is Elena Martinez. You don't know me, but your mother saved my life when I was 3 years old. As he read Elena's words, Rosa listened with growing amazement. She had never known that Elena had written to Elon. She had never heard these thoughts expressed so clearly. I studied engineering because I wanted to help people the way your mother helped me, Elon continued. I dreamed of working for SpaceX because I believe in your vision of making humans a multiplanetary species. Rosa smiled through her tears. She used to talk about that all the time, making humans a multiplanetary species. She thought it was the most important work anyone could do. Elon read Elena's description of her research, her repeated attempts to contact SpaceX, and her acceptance of the rejections. Rosa was amazed by her daughter's lack of bitterness. I'm not asking for money or recognition, Elon read. I just want to see humans walk on Mars. When they do, I hope they remember that their journey was made possible by people who believed in something bigger than themselves. That's my Elena, Rosa said proudly, always thinking about others first. When Elon reached the part about the circle of kindness, Rosa began crying again. Your mother taught me that we help others because it's right, not because we expect rewards. She saved a frightened little girl from a burning building and asked for nothing in return. Now I'm trying to help save the Mars mission and asking for nothing in return. The circle continues. She understood, Rosa said. Elena always understood that your mother's kindness changed our whole lives. Elon read the final paragraphs, Elena's request that he take care of her mother, and her hope that the stars wouldn't wait too long for human visitors. When he finished, both he and Rosa sat in silence for a moment. There's more, Elon said finally. Elena asked me to take care of you. I want to honor that request. Mr. Musk, you don't owe me anything, Rosa protested. Yes, I do. Elena spent her life trying to repay a debt to my mother. Now I need to repay a debt to Elena. Elon pulled out another envelope, this one containing papers he had prepared that afternoon. I've arranged for you to have an apartment, he said. Not charity, but a job. SpaceX needs someone to help coordinate our community outreach programs. Someone who speaks multiple languages and understands what it's like to struggle. Rosa stared at him in shock. A job? At SpaceX? The position comes with a good salary, health insurance, and housing assistance. You'll be helping connect SpaceX with communities that need support. Your daughter would have wanted you to be part of the mission she believed in. I don't know what to say, Rosa whispered. Say yes, Elon replied. Elena asked me to take care of you. This is how I want to do it. Rosa looked at the job offer papers, then back at Elon. Are you sure? I'm just an old woman who's been living on the streets. You're Rosa Martinez, Elon said firmly. You raised one of the most brilliant engineers I've ever encountered. You taught her values that made her want to help humanity reach for the stars. SpaceX would be honored to have you. Rosa wiped her eyes and nodded. Elena would want me to say yes, wouldn't she? I think she would. Then yes, I accept. Elon smiled and shook her hand. Welcome to SpaceX, Rosa. Elena's work is going to help us reach Mars. Now her mother is going to help us bring that dream to communities everywhere. There's one more thing, Rosa said. Elena kept journals. Technical journals where she wrote down all her ideas. I have boxes of them in storage. Would they be helpful? Elon's eyes widened. More research. Elena had even more work we haven't seen. Years of it. She wrote down every idea she ever had about spacecraft and heat shields. I saved everything when she died because I knew it was important, even if I didn't understand it all. Rosa, those journals could contain solutions to problems we haven't even discovered yet. Elena might have left us enough research to accelerate space exploration by decades. Rosa smiled. Then I guess Elena's gift to humanity is even bigger than we thought. As they walked out of the arch together, Elon thought about the chain of events that had brought them to this moment. His mother's split-second decision to run into a burning building. Elena's dedication to helping others despite her own struggles. Rosa's generosity in sharing her daughter's work when she could have sold it for millions. Each act of kindness had led to the next, creating a circle that now stretched from a small apartment fire in Pretoria to the surface of Mars. Elena's legacy isn't just her research, Elon said as they reached his car. It's the reminder that the most important discoveries come from people who care more about helping others than helping themselves. She learned that from your mother, Rosa replied. And now you're teaching it to me. The circle continued, just as Elena had predicted. And somewhere among the stars, Mars waited patiently for the humans who would finally visit, protected by heat shields designed by a homeless engineer who never gave up on her dreams. Elena Martinez would finally make it to Mars after all. That was the end of this incredible journey from a simple note at a red light to the surface of Mars. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest changes in the world. Where are you listening from today? Let us know in the comments below. We love hearing from our amazing community around the globe. If this touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales like this one. We share real accounts of human kindness, unexpected connections, and the power of never giving up on your dreams. Most importantly, share this video with your friends and family. Help us spread kindness and awareness about how one person's actions can ripple through time to change everything. You never know who might need to hear Elena's message today, that brilliance can come from anywhere, and every dream deserves a chance. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep looking up at the stars and believing in the impossible.